We have just kicked off a very important Grand Water Trine that's going to take us into December. And this Grand Water Trine is going to touch every personal planet and activate us in a new way. I believe that this is getting us ready for the solar plexus mutation that's happening in 2027, which brings humanity into an entirely new way of living. Welcome to this channel. This is exciting stuff. My name is Kenlyn, and we're going to unpack this Grand Water Trine, set it to some dates, learn a little bit about why you need to know this information, and then what's coming in the future. We may have to break this down into 2 videos. There's a lot here. So get your pen and paper out and take some notes. I also want to say that if you are interested in these cycles of history, how things are changing and what is opening up, this Sunday, October 26th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing a free masterclass. So you can just pop in there or register and get the replay. We're going to talk about Pluto out of bounds. We're going to talk about the 4th turning, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more about what you personally are here to do. I think that's the big question on everyone's mind. And this is really what this solar plexus mutation and this change as we go into 2027 is all about. So having said that, let's come back to where we are right now. This is really cool. So I'm recording this on October 24th, and that's the beginning of this Grand Water Trine that's going to touch every personal planet. So let us take a look first at what that looks like on the zodiac wheel. I'm going to share my screen. I never really do this, but this is going to be fun. All right, so you can see the players in the water. So Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. Cancer is cardinal water, Pisces is mutable water, and Scorpio is fixed water. So all the water is coming together. Now you can turn this zodiac wheel. This is starting at like an Aries rising in whole sign astrology, putting the Aries in the 1st house, but Aries owns the 1st house. So even if you have a Scorpio rising, Aries owns the 1st house. So this is the zodiac wheel. And you can see that these are 120 degrees apart from each other. And so that looks like if you connect them, a triangle. A perfect triangle. That's why we call it a trine. And a trine is harmonious energy. A trine is flowing energy. It's also, think about water. What is water? It's yin. It's emotional. It's from the depths. It's how you feel. Remember, we were in Libra, and Libra season was about communication with the other. Now we're going, yeah, and here's how I really feel about it. And we are in Scorpio season, so we're bringing things up from the depth. And these are good things to know because we're ultimately going into a mutation of the way that we do things. And it might make a lot of sense to you. I mean, often if I don't have these contexts, it just looks like a shit show to me. And I know that the universe is way more organized and patterned than a random chaotic shit show. So I hope this supports you in seeing what's happening on the big picture, plus how it's affecting you. Okay, so let me just say before I lose this, who's in Pisces? Who are the players in Pisces? Well, we know that Saturn is retrograding in Pisces. I know that because I'm in my 2nd Saturn return, and that bugger won't leave me alone. So Saturn is right now, I think, around 26 degrees retrograding in Pisces. Well, guess who just joined him? Neptune. Neptune's at 29 degrees of Pisces. So you can see like Neptune just crossed over. Saturn's a little bit more over there. They're both retrograding planets. So retrograding, remember, is a time for reviewing and reflection of reckoning. That's just such a good word for Saturn. You know, Neptune's going to be holding our dreams of a future humanity. And Saturn is going to make that real. And they're both going to go into, I get chills right now saying this, 0 degrees Aries. And that's going to be February 20th. Everyone asks me, like, when's the threshold change? When's this over? Well, I don't know when it's over because there isn't any bright lines, but let's just say we're crossing a line. We're crossing a threshold in that time period when both Neptune and Saturn cross this line and move into Aries. It's making the dream real, giving it the chops to put it into form. So what you have been dreaming about the new world, about your new future, is going to come into alignment. Yeah. And the next 4 months, we're in this reckoning, we're in this crucible. And it's not all negative. Let's say it's not all hard. There is this grand trine that's helping us out. And what is it helping with? You're going to see. So we have Saturn and Neptune as players right here. Then let's look at Cancer. Who's in Cancer? Well, Jupiter's in Cancer. Jupiter is at about 24 degrees. So you can see that Saturn and that Jupiter almost like exact. We got that 29 of Neptune in there. It still counts. Jupiter is in Cancer. By the way, he's squaring over here Chiron in Aries. That's a square right here. So we're going to bring that in terms of our healing, in terms of the lessons and maturity that we're being asked right now, in terms of the reclamation of our origin story. You know, I will tell you that I had this sense for a very, very long time when I was younger, like maybe even into my 40s, that I didn't have a right to be here. Does anyone else resonate with that? It's interesting because I have none of that anymore, because I also went through my Chiron return, y'all. That's 49, 50, 51. And that's really where you get to clear those deep wounds. And it's usually through someone else. I had a partner who triggered the crap out of me and reminded me of my mother and that whole story. Now I don't carry that stuff, thank the goddess. But that origin story, like, I don't have a right to be here. That's why I never had kids. I just knew, I just felt in my bones. I didn't know because it wasn't true, but I felt in my bones I didn't have a right to be here. It's why I didn't want to be visible, all kinds of things. That's why I spent so much time propping other people up, which was doing my Scorpio South node, being the second, the right hand to someone who was in front. You know, all of that stuff. I'm happy to look at your own chart to find out where that kind of stuff is playing out for you. But really, it was all in my chart. It's all there. And when I had eyes to see, I saw it. So that square between Cancer and Chiron is going to bring up some old wounds to completely clear it. Now, listen, if you are in your Chiron return, this is even doubly more important. It's like you are being called. But let's know that the whole collective is being called right now to do this work. It's a big maturation point. It's emotionally growing up. I want you to hear those terms because we're going to pick them up in a few minutes. It's clearing out the original wounds from childhood. I mean, it's big. We got Jupiter there. I didn't have Jupiter when I was doing this work. I had Saturn, you know, but you have Jupiter here. So it's going to happen. It's going to work. You're going to get the gold. Saturn's also the same way, but it's just through a lot more hardship. So the key here is to take personal responsibility and to take ownership. We are done as a collective with the blame game. We are done. So notice when it comes out of your mouth, when you say, you made me do that. You made me feel like that. What you did made me feel like that. Take your power back, sister. Nothing makes you feel any way. You feel that way. And that's an indicator to you that there's deeper work that needs to happen, because truly, if someone did that thing, you'd be able to act differently than react and get emotionally charged or depleted or taking it personally. Those are indicators that there's some work that you get to tend to yourself. We say work, but really, what is it? Is it work that a mother tends to her little child and holds her little child and says, babe, you're okay. I got you. Is that work? Well, if that's work, then this is the work. It might just be being human, being compassionate. Okay. So you're here to clear it out. You're here to grow. You are here to heal, and you're here to do it on your own terms, sister. That is the theme that we are going to go into. All right. So now we have our fixed players. These guys are moving slowly. So this is why this Grand Trine is going to happen into December. And then things are going to start to break up. Jupiter is going to go retrograde. But the big player right now is this Scorpio. This is the variable piece. So there, we have a bunch of things happening. This is where all the personal planets, these are outer planets, except like Jupiter and Saturn are personal planets. Neptune's an outer planet. Uranus, Pluto, outer planets. And Pluto's in Aquarius right over here. And Uranus is retrograding into Taurus. So like really right here. Okay. Scorpio, this is the variable part. And I'm going to give you a lineup. So today that I'm recording this, and I'm hoping to get this out today, is October 24th. Mercury is in Scorpio right there at that degree point. So Mercury is taking, it's like Mercury is at the batter box. This is the batter's box right here. These guys are the outfielders, and they're all connected. They're going to hit a home run. And so Mercury is right there. Now, Mercury is the star in this position because Mercury is going to retrograde, and he's going to go back over this point and then back over the point when he goes forward. So 3 times Mercury is going to hit this trine. And you know what's cool about that? Mercury represents the mind. Mercury is the messages. So we're not just going to have a full-blown emotional experience. We have Mercury, the mind. It's going to be able to make sense of all of it. It's going to go back and think about it, this retrograde. It's going to go inward, and it's going to do some inner work, and then it's going to move forward again. So I love that Mercury is the star here. That happens. Now, these are not just one day, you know, because Mercury travels pretty fast. So it's 24, 25, 26 degrees. And that's still making contact with these guys in a pretty nice configuration. It's when he gets beyond that point that it will start to move. Like when he goes into Sagittarius, then it's no longer a trine for Mercury. So let's just give it October 24, 25, 26-ish. And then Mercury moves on. But who comes into the batter's box? It would be Mars. And so Mars is our planet of action. He comes into that degree point of 24, 25, 26 degrees of Scorpio, just like bam, right there, that triangle, October 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So it's a while. I'm giving it like more than just 24 degrees, 25, 26 degrees. So Mars moves a little bit slower than Mercury. So we've got more days to experience this planet of action, this planet of our embodiment. It is aggressive and it can be warlike, but it is also freaking action. So what we're seeing here is that we're going to take some action, and this is movement. But I want to say something else, because this is water and we're in the fixed water position. The sense that we're in here is very yin. So what is yin action? It's way woo way. It's action without action. You're going to be moved by the movable mover, the unmovable mover. That is a surrender. That is like, you're not in charge. You are not in control. You are going to be moved. You are going to be moved into action, but it isn't under your control. Because really what's happening is there is a force bigger than you. We'll go into some of that in a minute. Wah, I love it. So then we've got the sun. Mars moves on. The sun moves into the batter's box. When is that? Well, November 16th, 17th, 18th-ish. That's when the sun is at 24, 25, 26 degrees of Scorpio. I looked at the ephemeris yesterday and I was charting all of this stuff. So the sun, what is the sun? That is your identity, your core self, your true self, who and what you really are, shining through this embodiment. Oof. And then Mercury retrograde. So the sun moves on. Of course, the sun goes into Sagittarius around like the 22nd of November. So it moves on. Mercury then retrogrades back to this very point at 22 degrees around November 22nd. So right as the sun's moving into Sag, Mercury is retrograding back into this very place, asking ourselves, what are we learning? We're going to go inward in that time and contemplate. We'll have Mercury retrograde for November, and I think it ends at the end of November and then goes into its post-retrograde shadow. All right, then into the batter's box after Mercury. That's its second pass. Now we have Venus. So Venus has been in Libra. She moved into Scorpio, and that on November 26, 27, 28, we're in Sag territory with the sun, but Venus is over here in Scorpio, bringing our abundance, our love, our relationships, our beauty, going to the depths. I mean, what does she do in Scorpio? She's like a deep transformer. She's not scared to go to the depths. Venus brings the love, the personal love, to go to the depths. And then she ultimately moves out of into Sagittarius. And then what happens? That Mercury that was retrograding back went all the way back to 20 degrees. And now what is he doing? He's stationing direct, and he's going back over those same points. December 7th, 8th, 9th. And that'll be at like 24, 25, 26 degrees of Scorpio. So do you see what we have? We have three passes for Mercury. We've got the sun, Mars, and Venus. Woo! That's a big, big, big energy happening. That's why we were saying we're going to go out of 2025 with a bang. Because here's the thing about 2025 and early 2026. We've got a lot of retrograding planets. And we have this Grand Water Trine. We've got the retrogrades are putting these planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn into the places where we were experiencing the eclipses and a lot of the letting go. So it is more letting go. That's what's going to happen in this trine, but there's some flow to it. There's some movement to it. There's the divine feminine inside of it. You don't have to be worried about this. And so what I was saying about this is that I believe it's the bigger solar plexus mutation. So let me talk about that for a moment. If you are new to human design, don't be like your mind is blown with another system. I always say, this is how I do it. Don't listen trying to understand everything. I know if you're a 1-3 in your profile line, that's going to be almost impossible for you. But try to listen with your full body, because you know more than you think you know in an embodied way. You don't know the details. You don't have fluidity to talk about it, but something will resonate because we're in this collective together. This is not like you don't live on like Mars and I'm trying to explain Earth to you. You live on Earth and I'm just sharing what the heck's happening from a prism, not from the truth, from a prism, from a lens that's providing a lot of context. So this Grand Water Trine, the energy that's flowing, let's say that it's going to heighten your intuitive knowing. Pay attention to your dream space. I just had a really weird dream last night, and then something clicked in about my dream. So that's what's going to happen. Some familiarity, some breaking down of the barriers between dream space, reality. I mean, really, what is that anyway? But that's where Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces are going to blur the lines. So either you can get confused and delusional, and definitely if you use alcohol or drugs, you're going to get messed up because there's already big confusion going on in the shadow. But in the light, it dissolves the barriers in our consciousness so that we can see beyond the veil. So you don't really need alcohol or drugs right now, y'all. You don't. So don't do it. You need clear presence of mind, because you're going to go into some states of consciousness that are from another realm. And ultimately, that's where we're going in the solar plexus mutation. Let me say a few more things about this big energy that's pulsing through. When we think of the divine feminine and Adi Shakti, that primal life force energy that pulses, like you can feel the pulse when you're still. The earth pulses with it. Your body pulses with this Adi Shakti, this divine feminine force. That's this. And then astrological, it's like she's giving permission. She's like become known to us. Reveal yourself to us. So there's a flow of connection that's going to keep things in motion. It's going to take your mind out, although you're not going to be a zombie, because Mercury is in there trying to understand and communicate messages to you. He will partner up with Neptune to give you good dreams, auspicious dreams, dreams of what needs to be cleared out, dreams of your future, dreams of what's possible. So let the universe, let the goddess carry you forward in this. Don't fight it. You really can't fight it. You'll just get, have you ever tried to fight a wave in the ocean? It's like smacks you in your face and then you go under and you've got seawater all in your sinuses. It just doesn't feel good. So surrender to the flow, because you cannot force anything here. And isn't that a relief for those of us who have been trying? I know in the collective right now, there's so much breakdown. Neighbors fighting, people losing their jobs, people in fear, economic hardship, as well as massive opportunities too. It could be that your life is just showing up in one way and you've got abundance in this other way, or there's just an abundance of things and it's overwhelming. So really trust this flow beyond what you've ever experienced. Trust the flow beyond what you've ever experienced. That's like I'm saying that to myself too. Okay. So now let's go into that solar plexus mutation. I just want to make sure I've gotten everything. Yeah. Now I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to show you the body graph, because if you're not familiar with human design. Okay, hold on a second. I think I need to just get rid of this guy. And then there we go. Okay. So have y'all ever seen this? I just pulled this off of Google. You can find this in many places, but this is the 9-centered being, the body graph in human design. And every person has their own unique body graph based on their time and date and location of their birth. So what we are talking about, when I talk about solar plexus mutation, I am talking about this center right here. So a few hundred years ago, what happened was, in the chakra system in human design says that this sacral broke into these two pieces. It kept also being the sacral, which is life force energy right here, but it also broke into the spleen, and it also broke into the solar plexus center. So what we are talking about here is this solar plexus center, the center of emotions, feelings, your nervous system. We've talked a lot in the zeitgeist about those things. So I want you to have a picture, and when you run your own chart, if this is colored in, it means you're defined. If it's white, like it is mine, it means you're undefined, okay? So that's all you need to know. Now I can go ahead and talk a little bit about this mutation. I think this deserves its own video, but I want to link the two of the Grand Water Trine with this solar plexus mutation. So I had an awareness that in 2027, Ra said, he was the original transmitter of human design. He is now deceased. He said that humanity is going to go through another mutation. The first mutation was that thing when the energy centers broke out of that sacral. And this mutation is leaving behind, it's actually huge, which is why it deserves its own video. But we are leaving behind old institutions, any institutions really. We are leaving behind giving away our power or bargaining, like John Locke, the philosophers of the Enlightenment, like Foundation for Democracy, talked about the social contract. That was then. That social contract is actually going away, and something new is replacing it. Again, second video for that. But for now, let's say that the mechanism that's happening is through the solar plexus. It's the most recent awareness center, and it's also an energy center. It's going to move into completely an awareness center. So when you have it defined, you go on an emotional wave. This water trine will take you through your emotional waves. I know a lot of people with definition have been on their waves. Now, what is a wave? If you're defined, you probably already know what a wave is without me saying. That means you go up and you go down. You experience something in different ways. So you might have a high about it. You might have a low about it. And then the next day you're kind of about it. You're just going to go on your wave. And that is your authority. If you have that defined, it is your authority. And that means that you tune in when you have a decision to make and you witness the wave happening. And then you can make a decision, like give it a day or two, and you'll have completed the wave enough to come to some clarity for yourself. Now, when we talk about a wave, we're talking about a feeling about something, being triggered about it, or being depressed about it, or being elated about it. You're really taken on a journey with your emotions. And ultimately, the beginning of 2027 is about mastering that. So that's why you've been taken through these emotional waves. And you can just say to people, I'm on a wave. The largest number of people have this authority versus other ways of having authority, meaning what is true for me. It's always in our bodies. What's true for us is never from our minds. So we're going from a being that is at the effect of our emotions, and also using our emotions as drive. Like, I want this, I want to feel that. That's why we're so sucked into advertising, because if it tells us we can have that experience, we're like all in. And so the more we work with it, meaning we pull away from the experience of it, or part of us does, and we witness it. We don't merge with it. We witness it. We witness the wave. We allow ourselves to go on that journey of hating something, feeling depressed, feeling sad, isolating, crying, and then coming out of it, whatever it is. But there's a part of us that is witness to it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the piece that's going to get transmuted. We are going more into the higher state of spiritual awareness. Now, I'm going to have a cliffhanger right here. This is like, why? What is it for? What are we going to be able to experience? What are we moving into? That's all the question for 2027 and beyond. And we'll start to talk about that so that our minds can get in alignment with where we're going. This Grand Water Trine that's hitting every single personal planet is going to initiate you into a higher level of your emotional being, of your emotional maturity. And then we have Jupiter squaring Chiron. Again, same thing. Elevation, upgrade, emotional mastery. So let me ask you, what would it take for you to become an emotional master? What would it take? What do you need to feel? What do you need to know? What process do you need to have to get alongside of your maturity, to get alongside of a bigger picture rather than being in the weeds? So that, my friends, is what's happening through the beginning of December. Lots of other energy as well that we can parse out, like Neptune at 29 degrees. We might do another video on that. But this is really for you to know what's being deeply worked individually so that the collective can go into a brand new place. I think that's exciting. If you would like to join me on Sunday, I'll put the link inside of the description box. It's totally free. I'd love to see you. It's a great time to be in community. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. And let's gather all the positive energy that we have generated here and let's beam it out. And let's say, may all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts.